Hello guys, and this is your Kiran from W2S Academy, not for NEET and JEE. The name itself depicts here. So it is just W2S Academy as far as this video is concerned, because typically W2S Academy for NEET and JEE, we tutor for math, physics and chemistry for NEET JEE aspirants of class 10, 11 and 12. But here in this video we are going to deal with a different topic, not exactly like a different topic and different subject too. After half a decade, I'm just choosing or entering into my stream just to reboot and revive myself. Not only to reboot myself, it will be useful for you guys, those who are coming out of the college and those who are preparing for interviews. It might be very useful. So I just want to share with you guys too. So this is also for the beginners. Even I'm a beginner. So if there is any mistake that I commit in this video, obviously I'll do it. So it's like an half a decade re-entry, right? So obviously I'll commit. So if you find any mistake, please do let me know in the comment section. And also an a self-iterated dialogue that I used to wish to all my viewers is like, please do have a pen and paper when you're watching my video, because merely watching video and cutting it off once it is done is like no use at all. So you should always have a note, so it will be helpful when you revise, or when you have a quick recap. It will be very helpful, because watching merely video it is not going to help you in any of the way, whether if you are preparing for interviews or for your board examination, whatever it may be. So let's get back to the topic now. So the language that we have chosen for this session is like Linux. So first of all, before getting into the main points of Linux and its features, let's have a quick recap about its history. Like Linux is like an Unix-like operating system. Originally, it was created by Linus Torvald, who's from Finland, I think so. Yes, Finland. And he had interest towards Minix, a previous one of Linux. So it is Minix. So he decided to develop a system that exceeds the quality of Minix. So with a high standard, he worked out in 1991, and he released the very first version, 0.02, and steadily he kept on working on the same version and upgraded it to a new version, and it was called as 1.0. In the year 1994, he released Linux kernel. So it is like a form of an Unix language. So today Linux is a number of so it is a number one Unix type of an operating system that is usually used in throughout the world. Okay, so this is the history. And Linux, it is an operating system where you can find its application right from your hand, that is smartphones to supercomputers, and even World Stock Exchange, they do use this Linux operating system. And you may have a question why Linux is preferred over other operating system. Is like it is completely reliable, secure, and also worry-free operating system. Note down the last point, worry-free operating system, because I'm going to give quite a detailed explanation for this third point alone in later part of this video. So even your Android mobile phone is powered by Linux. So Linux operating system. So what does this operating system actually mean? So operating system is nothing but and you know that a computer is a machine that has both hardware and it need a software to run perfectly, right? So to interconnect or to pull together this hardware and software together, we need an intermediate program that is called as an operating system. So this operating system always helps operating this operating system could be Linux or Windows or Mac, Android, whatever it may be. So the operating system that pulls together both software, a different entity, and the hardware, which is also a different entity, to pull it together and to perform a function to give a desired result for the user. So this is the purpose of an operating system. Why to choose Linux as an operating system? So that is the main purpose of this video. So before that, I would like to tell there are several pieces of Linux. So Linux is like a complete package. It is made up of different pieces. So we are going to deal, or I'm going to explain each and every part so that you will get clear before I move on to the next topic, right? So these are the different components of Linux, like a bootloader. So the name itself explains, like it manages the booting process of the computer. That is, it performs various hardware checks and also initializes the processor and peripheral devices once the system is ready to start. Right. So it pre-checks everything, right? Hardware, processor, and everything. So it is a bootloader. Second one is, I would say that kernel, it is the most important part of this Linux, because if I ask you what is the core part of an two-wheeler, you would say that it is engine. What is the core part of a nuclear reactor? You would say that where the nuclear material will be dumped to start the nuclear fission or fusion reaction. Similarly, kernel is the core part of the Linux system. The main purpose of this kernel is to manage CPU, memory, and peripheral devices. So this is the lowest level of operating system. If you say that what is the fundamental unit of matter is atom. What is the fundamental unit of a human body? It is a cell. Similarly, what is the basic unit of this Linux operating system is kernel. So this is the purpose of a kernel. And third one is init system. Init system. Init, it is an acronym of initialization system. So it is an abbreviated form. They have given it here. So init system. So what is the role of an init system? It is actually a subsystem. It bootstrap the user space, and also it will control the daemon process. So before that, because there is another topic called as a daemon, so there I'll explain what is daemon process. So here I'll say what is bootstrap. So bootstrap, it is like a booting process, getting the computer's firmware like BIOS to run a simple program which sometimes loaded on a fixed location on the disk. So this is what it happens during the time of initialization or booting of the system. So what it takes control over the daemons. What are daemons? You may have a question. So see, still there is an explanation for this init system, but before that, I'll just move on to this daemon and give this is very short and sweet. So daemons is nothing but a background services that keeps on running right from the moment you start boot the system till you shut down the system. There will be some process that will be running behind the background of the computer. So it is called as a daemon process. So that could be printing, sound scheduling, whatever it may be. So all these are considered to be a daemons. So again, coming back to this init system. So init system, it is also an initialization system. So the most commonly used there are various init system in the techie market. Like you can find different versions of init system. So out of all those things, the most commonly used init system is system system D. System D. There are lots and lots of init systems. See, like till 2021, we have all these versions of init system: OpenRC, Runit, sysv init, S6, GNU, Shepherd, Upstart, SINIT. So this is also one among the init system. So what is special about system D init system is, like, it is the most commonly used init system, as I've already mentioned, and also it is most controversial, and developers, they don't like to be used in their coding, because apart from being very complex, it also tries to centralize everything like Windows registry. We have chosen this Linux operating system as an alternative and a simplest way to overcome what are all the problems that we have in Windows. But still, it does the same job what Windows did. So it also brought a new vocabulary of commands. already we have set of commands to run this init system, but still apart from previous ones, we are having a new set of commands. So developers, they find it very difficult to learn a new command set of commands, especially like plus command in which was used by system D, which is very long, and most of the time the people, they used to hate typing this very long set of command. So init system usually manages the boot process once its initial booting is over. Like see, what is the first process? Bootloader. Once the bootloader is completely over, it will hand over the process to the init system. So it will take care of rest of the things, right? So like so the next topic is graphical server. So graphical server is often called as an server X or simply X. So it is a subsystem of Linux parts. So that displays a graphics on your monitor or your computer. So it provides a complete graphical interface with the user. So there is nothing special about it. And the next one is desktop environment. So what is desktop environment is? Like this is the piece that user actually interact with. So whenever you are having an interaction with a computer, so the user friendly interactiveness is provided by this desktop environment. So many desktop environment are available in the market or also in this Linux. So the various desktop environments are Genome, Cinnamon, Mate, Pantheon, KDE, and lot more. So all these are considered to be an user interface, and each desktop environment it includes an built-in application. See, whenever you get a computer, obviously there will be an, if you're purchasing a Windows operating system, they're all set of default applications, right from calculator and in few games, Minesweeper, and all those things were in the previous Windows, right? Similarly, a desktop environment, they include a set of default application, so it will be there within the Linux program, such as file managers, configuration tools, web browsers, and games. All these are considered to be an inbuilt applications that are available when you install an Linux operating system. And the last one is application. So the word application is quite familiar nowadays after the entry of Android mobile phone. So we short and sweet, we call it as app, right? So desktop environment do not offer the full array of applications, but still, just like Windows and Mac OS, Linux also offers thousands and thousands of quality softwares that are found within an what to say that within a package. Like in Android, App Store is an application itself. It contains and lots of thousands and thousands of application, right? Can you imagine? App Store itself, it is an application. It contains more number of applications which can be selected and installed by the user if it is required, right? You can pull out each and every. So App Store contain WhatsApp, so user can enter into the App Store and they can select WhatsApp and they can install it in their machine. So similarly, application, this is how this application works. So most modern Linux distributions includes like App Store, which contain every tools that are simplified for the users. And example, if I want to say that for Android, what I told, for Android we have App Store. Previously, it was called as an app market, right? I don't remember. In the year of 2011 or 12, it was called as an app market. I do remember. And in Apple, it is called as an Apple Store, right? If I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, please do correct it by mentioning the time and the correct answer in the comment section. And for Linux operating system like Ubuntu, they have Ubuntu Software Center. Ubuntu Software Center. Okay, so this is the place where you can find all softwares that are applicable or that are meant for this Ubuntu OS, right? So this is how these are the different pieces of Linux that actually provides a complete set of Linux operating system. So I hope you guys are quite clear about this. I think I have given my best in explaining these videos. I'm not quite familiar to this computer science. Please do bear with me and please do correct it whenever it is required, and you're always welcome. So next topic is like why Linux? See, already I'm comfortable with Windows, Mac and Android. Everything is working perfectly. The user friendliness also it is okay. Then why the hell this Linux is poking into my business? So what is the reason for this Linux to get inside or the people to choose Linux over other operating systems? Like you should ask few questions within yourself like is your existing operating system like Windows, Mac, or Android, whatever. Obviously, in India, most of the people they used to go with Windows and Android, right? So just ask this question: are your operating system free of malware? Is it free of virus attack? Is it free of slowdown? Is it free of crash, unexpected crashes? Or is it free of cost? Are you getting it for free of cost? And is the license free? Obviously, it is not. Each and every application, right from Windows OS and Mac OS, you have to purchase it, right? You have to spend a huge amount of money in it. And even if you spend such a huge amount of money, there is no secureness in the operating system. So, in order to overcome all these problems, what this I mean the most used operating systems like Windows and Mac or Android, we came with an new operating system called as an Linux. So but Linux is completely zero cost entry and you can install on as many as computers without any license, and you need not to get any license from the authorized service providers. And if you want to compare Linux server versus a Windows server, I'll just have a quick comparison with Linux server versus Windows Server 2016. See, the cost of this Windows Server is approximately 880 American dollars. So if you directly purchase from the Microsoft, it doesn't include, they don't include CAL, which means client access license. Without, if you want to get this CAL, even you have to pay an extra amount. And license for other softwares that you need to run is like for DB, web server, mail server. For each and every service, you have to get an additional package by spending huge amount of money. Here, suppose if you are using a single, if you want a single user CAL for your machine, it cost around $38. If you want to extend it up to 10 users, if you have 10 machines and you want to install the Scala in 10 different machines of Windows, you need to spend into 10 times of the money what you spend for the single user, which means for each and every end user you need to spend a money, right? So this is the problem what we have in other operating systems like Windows, Macs, Androids and everything. But it is free and easy to install. But still few may have a question. Since Linux is getting it for free, you cannot say that it is completely user friendly and you don't put your support on Linux. I'll give you a valid reason apart from zero cost entry, and I'll give few reasons. Then you select, then you choose yourself whether to use Linux or other operating system and which is best. So like, what if an operating system that works trouble free for long as you can use it? No problem with ransomwares, malwares, or virus. So initially what I told, it is zero entry cost. You need not to pay a single penny for installing it in your machine as many as machines you want. And second problem, like in other operating systems, you had threat from malwares and ransomwares and crashes, slowdowns, and all those things, right? And here you don't have such problems at all. So Linux is free of vulnerable attacks. So this is the second valid reason, right? So for several reboots, they are only necessary if the kernel is updated. Okay, and also uh, they are distributed under an open license, so you need not to open source license, you need not to purchase or you need to spend your money to get this software in your machine. So open source follows a few rules and it is quite user friendly for all the end users for the following reasons. I'll list few reasons that will make you to satisfy with Linux. I hope so. So Linux is like completely freedom to run program, freedom to run program, and it is freedom to study how the program runs, works. And the third point is freedom to change it to do whatever you wish to do. According to your wish, you can manipulate the OS and you can run it as you wish. And next is freedom to redistribute copies. N number of copies you can make it. You need not to pay for an extra copy what you give it to another system. So you can redistribute copies. And the last one is freedom to redistribute copies of your modified version too. You can pick a particular version, you can manipulate it, so that manipulated version can be distributed among your friends with advanced features if you have added it. Okay, so because of all these features, if I want to tell it very simply, like Linux is like an democratic country. It is by the people and for the people. You can use it and you can manipulate as much as you want, and you can spread it to the complete community with free of cost. So it is without any doubt. So Linux is nothing but freedom, freedom, freedom. So it is completely free, right? So out of, because of all these three reasons, it is free of cost, it is it is free of vulnerable attacks, and it is free to run a program, freedom to study how program works, and freedom to manipulate the pre-existing program, and it can be redistributed as many as copies you want. So it is like by the people and for the people. So out of all these reasons, you can choose Linux over other operating systems. I hope you guys are quite clear about this before moving to the next topic. So the next topic is what is distribution? Like if you get an Windows OS, you will get different versions, right? Windows Premium, Home Premium, Ultimate. So these are the different versions. Similarly, Linux has many different versions to suit any type of an user. Suppose like if you are a very beginner, you can go for a basic one, and if you're a hardcore user, you can go for an advanced feature Linux. So Linux has different flavors where it can match your needs. Like these versions are called as a distribution or distros. It will be simply called as distros. Okay, so every distribution of Linux can be downloaded for free and burned into your disk, or you can store it in your USB, and it can be installed in as many as computers or machines you want. So here I'm going to list few popularly called distributions in Linux. They are like Linux Mini, Manjaro, Debian, Ubuntu. Ubuntu is very famous. Ubuntu, Solus, Fedora also is very famous. Like it is quite common. You can hear this word. Elementary OS or Even it is also called as Deepin. In later part, even I used to mention it as an Deepin and OpenSUSE. So all these are various distributions or versions of Linux. So you can select according to your use. So each distribution has a different, take on desktop. So some opt for very modern user interface such as Genome or Elementary OS or Pantheon, where other they stick to more traditional desktop environment like OpenSUSE and KDE. So like Linux server providers, still we do have a provider here, Linux server providers. There are four Linux server providers: Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Ubuntu Server, CentOS or CentOS, and SUSE Enterprise Linux. So they are Linux server providers. So some of the above are free of cost, like Ubuntu Server and CentOS are completely free of cost, but whereas Red Hat and SUSE Enterprise Linux or they are chargeable because of the support they provide. It is not for the software, the support they provide. So you may have out of these list of distributions which is applicable for me, how to choose a perfect distribution for my practice. So there is an quite a simple way to find. You can ask three questions to yourself: that how skilled you are using a computer, do you prefer a modern or a standard desktop interface, or server or desktop based Linux? So out of these questions, if you get answer, you can select the perfect distribution or version of Linux for your usage. So if you are a basic level user, you can stick to Linux Mini, Ubuntu, Ubuntu Deepin, which is also called as an elementary OS. If you are an elementary basic user, if you are an above average user, then you can go for Deepin, Fedora, and if you're very master in using this Linux, then you can go for, I forgot to mention this, Gentoo. If you're a master in using Linux, you can go for this Gentoo version of distribution. And if you're completely out of box guy and you are a supernatural techie, then you can build your own Linux and you can distribute among your friends. As I've already told, it can be manipulated, and the manipulated version can be distributed to your friends at free of cost. Okay, there is no license problem at all. So if you are looking for server only distribution, then Ubuntu server does not install a GUI, that is like graphical user interface like Ubuntu. It is not a graphical user friendly interface. So if you want to have a better graphic in Ubuntu version, you need to install a GUI package on top of Ubuntu server. So this can be done with a command. See, Linux is nothing but an command. So you can use the command sudo apt -get install Ubuntu desktop. So by using this command, you can install GUI package for better graphical interface in use of Ubuntu version. And if you need a server specific distribution, then you can go for CentOS. It is the best choice. And if you want a desktop distribution, then you can go for Debian, which is also called as an elementary OS and Ubuntu. So these are the main distributions that you can choose and how to choose based on your user friendliness and the way you handle the system, right? I hope I'm clear up to this point. Installing in Linux. Many think installing Linux OS is a daunting process, but I would say it is the easiest of all operating system installation. Many Linux offers a live distribution, that means you can run OS from your hard drive or USB drive without making any changes to your pre-existing hard drives. So installation process, it will be like preparation, and next will be wireless setup. If you are using a latest laptops, and if you want to use wireless applications like Wi-Fi and all those things, you need an Wi-Fi setup. And next is hard drive allocation. Hard drive allocation, like splitting the space memory. And next is location, where you want to place this Ubuntu OS to run from. And a keyboard layout, I don't know what exactly it is, to refer keyboard layout. And next is user setup. So this is how the process goes on in installing the Ubuntu, like Linux OS in your machine. So I'll tell how command line installation can be instructed. Like if you are using an Debian based distribution or elementary OS based distribution, you can install using an code apt-get. Suppose if you are using an Fedora based distribution, you can use yum-tool. Okay, so if you want to, suppose if you want to install an application, you are going to install a third party application in your Linux OS. Example, wget tool. It is a it is a software which is used for downloading files. So if you want to, only if you install this wget tool, you will be able to download files from different locations, right? So wget can be installed into Debian based distribution using the code sudo apt hyphen get install wget question mark. By using this command, you can install this application into the Linux server. And you may ask, here I have mentioned as apt-get, but why I have mentioned sudo? So sudo, which means that you need a super user privilege to install in software. So this provides, so super user privilege is given by sudo. So this is how I have mentioned in prefix. And how do we install this wget tools in Fedora based distribution? It is very simple. Yum install. It is very simple when compared to Debian based distribution. So wget. So this is as simple as having a cake. I hope so. So there is another code, there is another version of Easy Lamp server installation. Easy Lamp server installation. For this, you can use the code sudo task e1. Okay, so all these codes. So it is like a command line operating system. For each and everything, you have to use a command, but still it is user friendly, safe, secure, free of malware attacks, and everything. So this is the end of the video, and if you have any doubt or query or any clarification has to be made, please do drop your comments in the comment box section, and I'm always here to help you guys. Thank you very much for watching W2S Academy Code with PG. So in the next video session, and I'll tell you virtually how to code and how what are the basic codes that is used in Linux. Okay, fine. Thank you.